gonna tell you what, I think it does better when we don't have a thing to talk about.
Yeah.
A little slow getting it started, but all right. All right, which one do we want to do first? The double cross?
Yeah, let's do that first. I've got it pulled up already.
Okay. Let me
I can just I can just barely hear you. I'm gonna have to work on this. I can just barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you, but it's not it's this. I can't turn it up or down.
Let me ask you a question.
I think it has to do with this microphone.
Hey, when you go to your speakers and your little speaker thing down below it, all right, when you click on it, does it say speakers, headphones, Real Tech Audio, or does it say the name of your
it has speakers for Razer, which is this microphone, but there's no speakers with it there's no speakers with it. And then it has what's built into the computer, which that's what I'm listening to.
Does the microphone have a thing to clip into?
I don't know.
Because sometimes.
Wait a minute. It most certainly does. Hold on just a second. Now let's see what happens.
Now can you hear us?
Hold on. I got to switch out. Hold on.
Yeah, you should switch it to that.
I'll see.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same. Well, have you turned it up from there?
Up and up, and I can cut it up and down. That's about it. But no, that's going in there, so it's the same. I'll have to work on that and see what's wrong. This is new technology, but I'll get it working eventually.
Fellows, just checking in. Richard Hood, Robert Grice, ready to roll. All right, all good. Stuart Kemp, Terrence Hardy's with us as well. All right, Jack, we ready to? Well, just a second here. Let me do something real quick. The Eddie Gilbert double cross on Tommy Rich was awesome. Yes, it was. But boy, I never knew who the bad guy in that was. Did y'all see that?
No, I never did see that.
I never got it because both of them were pretty nasty. So I was like, man, who's the bad guy in this thing? All right, let's see here. Well, all right. Let's do it to it. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. You know, everybody knows of the double cross between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. But there was maybe the original double cross, and Jack Lord's got the story.
Ed Strangler Lewis and the first double cross. You would think becoming the new world heavyweight champion would have been Lewis's biggest accomplishment, but it would be just one of the big accomplishments that he would be part of, the other being the pivotal figure in the Gold Dust Trio. Along with promoters Toots Mont and Big Billy Sandow, they revolutionized professional wrestling by creating undercards, promoting full events instead of one-match shows. They also developed the first professional wrestling storylines, creating worked feuds between wrestlers. Because of the legit skills Lewis possessed, the trio could put the title on whoever they wanted because Lewis had the ability to defeat anyone who did not follow the script. We will look further at the Goldust Trio in a future post. The wrestling that we watch today is their creation, so we need to take a closer look. Lewis captured his first recognized World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship on December 13, 1920, defeating Joe Stecher in New York. Stecher would prove to be Lewis's biggest rival, both in and out of the ring, and Stetcher running his own shows against the Goldust Trio, beginning quite possibly the first promotional rivalry. Lewis would hold the title until May 6, 1921, when he was defeated by Stanislaus Zbyszko in New York, but his reign was ultimately a bust at the box office, and he relinquished the title back to Lewis on March 3, 1922, in Wichita, Kansas. The Goldust Trio wanted Wayne Munn to be the champion. Munn's fame from playing football attracted the attention of the wrestling star. Ed Lewis and promoters Toots Mott and Billy Sandow, who prematurely pushed Munn as the next big star in the sport. Munn won the world title from Lewis on January 8, 1925, despite his limited wrestling and shooting ability. The climax of Stetcher and the Goldust Trio feud came on April 15, 1925, when Goldust Trio star and former champion Stanislaus Zbyszko was asked to lose to the Goldust Trio's own handpicked champion, Wayne Munn, a former football star, in an effort to give Munn credibility. Zbyszko balked at the idea of losing to an unskilled wrestler and secretly jumped to the Joe Stetcher camp. Zbyszko double-crossed the Goldust Trio, using his knowledge of holds to legit defeat and in the process humiliate Munn, and won the world title. Then Zbyszko dropped the title to Stetcher a month later to complete the ploy in St. Louis, Missouri. Lewis and Stetcher settled their differences and agreed to do business with each other, with Stetcher losing the world title back to Lewis on February 20th, 1928 in St. Louis. He would hold the title until January 4th, 1929. On the next show, we will take a look at 1929 and 1930. At the end of 1930, there would be the first professional wrestling organization to sanction matches called the NWA, but not the one we all think of. This was the National Wrestling Association of America, LLC.
Well, Rodney, what do you think about the first double cross?
That's something.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't the first double cross.
No.
Just one of the double crosses to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, it's amazing. You know, people think, you know, when they think about Bret Hart and they talk about Shawn Michaels, they think that was the first time that was ever done in professional wrestling. That was done many times back in those days, especially in that era. I mean, you had wrestlers that they knew they couldn't beat. Once Lou Thesz becomes the world heavyweight champion, well, no one could beat him. And that's the reason they put the title on him, so nobody could beat him. Very interesting story, and a lot of people don't know about the National Wrestling Organization. They know the National Wrestling Alliance, but they didn't know there was an association prior to this. And they did try to have one world champion. They were never successful at having one world champion. And really, neither did the National Wrestling Alliance. It just so happened they was an organization that had 30 or 40 different territories. So if you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the page. Go one step further. Hit that notification bell. And it'll let you know every time that we upload a video. We're going to be talking a lot about the golden age of professional wrestling. And we'll be talking world champions. We'll be talking those days, because it's very interesting what was going on during those days in professional wrestling. And share the video. Share this video. Let everyone know about pro wrestling inside and out. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Tell you what, I'd hate to bend some of these people. I really would have. All right, let's see. Michael Barr is with us. The old double cross on Dusty was the best angle. Michael Barr, yes, it was Richard. let's see. I think Bret Hart and the Patriot Wrestling Story was a good one. And Michael, who's the Patriot? Is that the Del Weeks guy?
Yeah, that's who Brett wrestled. Yeah.
Is there a story on that? I'm not for sure I know that story.
I think they were maybe partners, and Brett turned on him somehow. I don't remember. We'll have to get Dale on here sometime.
Suggestion: let's do a show on Pro Wrestling USA. I have started working on that. I have started working on it because they did their first show in Memphis, and I've got the card wrote down. I've got it all took care of, but just trying to figure out some what we can say, just more than the matches, But that was a failure, failure from the beginning, unfortunately. All right, y'all ready to do the Road Warriors?
Yeah, I'll do page 1, Rodney.
Okay.
Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside Out. This is our look at the Road Warriors, Part 3. And I think Jack's going to get us started.
October the 7th, 1983 at Memorial Hall in Springfield, Ohio. The Road Warriors take on, and Jake Roberts defeated Tommy Rich, Pez Whatley, and Brett Sawyer. Then at WTBS Studios on October the 8th, the Road Warriors defeated Randy Barber and Mike Jackson. And then on the 9th, at the Myriad Convention Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Jim Duggan and the Junkyard Dog defeated the Road Warriors. And then on the 21st, the Coliseum in Marion, Ohio, Ron Garvin and Bruno Sammartino Jr. Went against the Road Warriors. We don't have a winner for that. Then on the 29th of October, WTBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, Road Warrior Hawk and Animal defeated Ben Terrell and Joe Lightfoot. Also on the 29th, TV taping, which one was morning, I guess, and one was the evening, Road Warriors defeated Pat Rose and Tony Davis. November the 5th, Augusta Richmond County Civic Center in Augusta, Georgia. Brett Sawyer and Dusty Rhodes versus the Road Warriors, who were the champions, winner unknown for the NWA National Tag Team titles. November the 6th, the Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Georgia. The Road Warriors defeated Dusty Rhodes and Buzz Sawyer by disqualification. November the 9th, 1983, Irish McNeil's Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. The Road Warriors defeated Mike Bond and Art Cruz. And then on the 11th, at the Macon Coliseum in Macon, Georgia, Buzz Sawyer and Brett Sawyer defeated the Road Warriors. And then the 18th of November, Convention Center in Cleveland, Ohio, Buzz Sawyer, Pez Whatley, and Ole Anderson defeated the Road Warriors and Paul Ellerling. And then on November the 19th, 1983, WTBS Studios in Atlanta, the Road Warriors defeated Tracy Stroher and Joshua Stroud.
All right, we pick it up back at the WTBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia on November the 19th, 1983. Cy Jernigan and Snake Brown versus the Road Warriors, and that ended without a winner as it was no contest. I guess Snake Brown just overwhelmed them. And then at the Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio on November the 27th, 1983, Brett and Buzz Sawyer defeated the Road Warriors for the National Tag Team Championship. Johnstown, Pennsylvania on November the 30th, 1983. Buzz and Brett Sawyer, along with Johnny Rich, defeated the Road Warriors and Jake Roberts. Convention Center, Cleveland, Ohio, on December the 3rd, 1983. Buzz and Brett Sawyer defeated the Road Warriors, and the title changed again. I guess they lost them back. I mean, they took them back anyway. So anyway, the Sawyers are once again the National Tag Team Champions. Then we go to the Omni in Atlanta on December the 4th, 1983. Buzz and Brett Sawyer defeated the Road Warriors, and the titles changed again. Amazing. Mid-South Coliseum On December the 5th, 1983, as in Memphis, Tennessee, the Road Warriors defeated the fabulous ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern, and ended with without a winner, as it was a double disqualification, and it was for the Southern Tag Team Championship. Memorial Auditorium, Spartanburg, South Carolina, on December the 7th, 1983, Steve Muslin and Rick McCord versus the Road Warriors. Convention Center, Miami Beach, on December the 14th, 1983, it was Brett Wayne and Buzz Sawyer defeating the Road Warriors in 16 minutes and 3 seconds. The old Charlotte Coliseum, Charlotte, North Carolina, on December the 14th, 1983. The Road Warriors defeated Rick McCord and Keith Larson. Augusta's Richmond County Civic Center, Augusta, Georgia, and that's on December the 17th, 1983. It's Tommy Rich, Brett, and Buzz Sawyer defeating the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering in a street fight. Then we head to the Omni in Atlanta on December the 25th, 1983. It's Stan Anson and Bugsy McGraw defeating the Road Warriors by disqualification. Municipal Auditorium, Columbus, Georgia, December the 25th, 1983. Brett Sawyer, Tommy and Johnny Rich versus the Road Warriors, and Paul Ellering, winner unknown. Veterans Memorial Fieldhouse in Huntington, West Virginia, on December the 26th, 1983. The Road Warriors defeated Brett Sawyer and Ole Anderson. Canton Memorial Civic Center, Canton, Ohio, on December the 27th, 1983. It's Brett and Buzz Sawyer defeating the Road Warriors for the National Tag Team Championship. December 28th, 1983, at the old Charlotte Coliseum, Charlotte, North Carolina, the Road Warriors defeated Rick McCord and Steve Muslin. That seems like that had happened before. At the Coliseum, Marion, Ohio, on December 29th, 1983, Mr. R, Brett and Buzz Sawyer defeated the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering. Then they're back at TBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, on December 31st. The Road Warriors defeated Paul Garner and David Jones.
You know, they certainly changed them belts a lot during that point in time.
I'm just kind of wondering there. What's going on?
Okay, during this time, if I'm not mistaken, did Johnny Rich come in as Johnny Rich? I know he came in as Roy Rogers, but that was in 1982, correct?
I believe so.
Later on, he did wrestle as Johnny Rich, though.
Yeah.
Before he came there during this time that he's teaming with Tommy to do this thing. Yes. All right, because now during this time, did they not do a thing with Brett Wayne on television where Brett Wayne, I can't remember, it might have been Pat Rose, I'm not for sure, but whoever he was teaming with, and they started beating up Brett Wayne really bad, the Road Warriors.
Yes.
And Buzz Sawyer hit the ring. The place went wild. Y'all remember this?
Yep. Yes. I remember it just plainly because actually Brett Wayne was being pushed at Georgia Championship Wrestling Superstars, and all of a sudden he was pulled and sent to Atlanta for this reason.
It got over big time. Okay, here's the thing. People say, well, the Road Warriors didn't sell for nobody. They didn't put nobody over. Where does this come from, I wonder? Because they did. They did put people over.
It was because you did not see them get beat on TV. You had to pay to see them get beat.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. They just didn't show everything on TV every week.
Jack, you talked to, I never really have. I've been around them before, but I never really talked to them. I think they even have this deal of saying, what do people, I mean, they did sell. They did put people over. So I don't understand where that comes from.
I don't know. They were, I guess people judge them off the TV matches, which, everybody was pushed in that way. If you were a big guy, you destroyed everybody. That was your role. That's what you were supposed to do. But I never heard anybody complain about working the Road Warriors. Even the guys who got jobbed and it looked like they were getting killed, they said, well, you feel them, but they ain't trying to kill you. So, that is a fan perception that they didn't sell, they didn't put people over. No, they were there to do business, and they did business well. Yeah, very well.
They did business very well. They were good at what they did. They understood the business. They understood, and I think Ole helped them along the way to learn it. Plus, the people that they had, Jake Roberts and Paul Ellering, I think probably helped.
Well, that was the biggest thing is Paul Ellering. I mean, that was why they put Paul with them to begin with, and Paul legitimately was their manager. He handled their travel. He handled their hotels. He handled getting their checks picked up and deposited and invested. And, all they had to do was get up in the morning and go train, and then go to the next town. They didn't have to worry about anything. Paul was legit taking care of them, but in the process, he was also schooling them about how the business worked.
And I'm going to tell you, drew a lot of money.
Yep.
Drew a lot of money. The Road Warriors from the beginning just instantly. Well, I won't say instantly. Once they got rid of the garb that they had that looked like the village people.
Yeah.
Right.
Once they got that, they cut their hair, they put the makeup on. There's where they took off, and they never wavered from that.
Yeah.
And they Road Warrior Animal on an interview said that there was a Road Warrior pop.
Yeah.
And there was a Road Warrior pop. They got a great reaction. We were in Des Moines, Iowa, and they were on the card. I'll never forget. It was great crowd there. And when they came out to play, it nuts. But they did sell. They did put people over, especially during this point in time. Because number one, you were going to sell for Buzz Sawyer. You were going to sell for Ron Garvin. You were going to sell for them. They would eventually make you if they didn't. You didn't. I mean, even though they were big old guys, these were tough. These were tough, real tough guys to take. We will be looking at part 4 of the Road Warriors. We will continue looking at them. Probably, I have to say, one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. I think they would have to go down in the top 10, no doubt. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the page if you haven't already, and go one step further, hit that notification bell, and that will let you know every time we upload a video right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video.
Now that we're clear, I'll tell you a little tidbits of history here.
Okay.
On the let's see, where was it? October the 29th, when the Road Warriors defeated Ben Terrell. His name's actually Benji Terrell. He was the first opponent that I ever had in professional wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah. First guy I ever just beat the snot out of, and I did because I didn't know. Because when the promoter said go out there and beat him up, I went out there and beat him up. 3 nights in a row. 3 nights in a row. And now here's your other bit of trivia. In that last match, on December the 31st, Paul Gardner, we all know Paul Gardner, but David Jones was my first tag team partner.
Wow, you should have said that online there.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that next time. Let's talk about that at the beginning of the part 4.
We were the original Heartbreakers. We talked about Wendell Cooley stealing my gimmick. I was doing it in 1985.
Let's see. This is a take from Michael Barr. We will do, like I said, we will do a thing on Pro Wrestling News. I just got to figure out how to do it. I've tried to figure. I've started on it, but it just seemed kind of boring to me. So I've backed up on it. So we'll try to do that. The original Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. So what did he say? Back in the 90s when it was the WWF. Yes. Back when they were fairly good at that time. The Road Warriors would beat you up. I think he said best you up. Maybe best you up too.
He corrects it later on. He does correct it. It's the next one up. It says, I meant.
No, you could be right.
Best.
Both of those could be right, couldn't he?
It's good.
Michael Barr said the Road Warriors, they were 2 of the biggest wrestlers that I'd ever seen. Right, Richard? And when they wrestled the Legion of Doom and faced off against Doom, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, wow. But you know who was a big old guy that came from that same era? I think maybe was trained by the same guy, was the Warlord. Mm-hmm. He was in Kansas City when he was there, wasn't he? Right?
Yes, it was.
And boy, he needed some work at that time.
He was in bad shape, but I think he found himself there because later on, him and the Barbarian went against the Road Warriors. They drew some money with that.
Yep.
Well, he was bad then, though, man.
That was a very difficult time all the way around.
Michael Barr asked, have Brent Rodney, have either of you considered having autographed photos? No, No, I just don't. There may be some people that might want them, but I wouldn't think there would be a ton of people. So, I appreciate it, but I don't, not right now, maybe somewhere down the line. Richard Hood, at one time, Paul Aaron was just as – yes, he was. He was in shape.
Yes, he
There is
was.
a picture that's going to be posted on Facebook at some time. I don't remember. I'm about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ahead. And there's a Paul Ellering picture. Man, he's in a – I don't know if y'all remember when he wore a gladiator outfit.
Yes, he came to Georgia with that. The first time, actually, he was partnered with Brian St. John, one of our favorites. And he came out there with that gold. It was gold. It was a gold helmet in that cape. And if you haven't seen Paul Ellering in Mid-South, you're really missing it. I mean, he really turned it on. I mean, he was really good. It was really good stuff. Check that out.
I don't remember that. But
1982. I think it was 1982 he was there.
Michael Barr asked Brent, Rodney, and Jack, and I'll let Jack answer this first. He says, was there ever a favorite wrestler that either you enjoyed being around, Jack?
Yeah, I love being around wrestling too. We never palled around. We never went out to eat anything like that. I mean, my whole experience with him was just in a locker room setting. But if you were willing to shut your mouth and, ask a question, but then shut your mouth and actually absorb it, man, he was quite the teacher.
Yeah.
And of course, I love being around Bob. My initial learning from anybody was your dad first and then Bob. I could stay here all night listing guys that I love, that they're just great to be around.
Rodney?
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite was, of course, Bill Dundee and a Dutch Mantell, which started up everywhere we went. He was messing with somebody all the time. Whether we're going into a store or going into the restaurant, he was messing with people all the time.
Yeah,
Kevin Von Erich, he was great too.
Dick Murdoch was the best.
And Steve Kern, we had a good time with Steve Kern.
Yeah, but Dick Murdoch was the best. Dick Murdoch could have you. I mean, he would have you laughing from the time you got, and he treated you like somebody. That was the thing. We were at the time. I think it was 1982. He came to Atlanta, wasn't it? So I was 12. Rodney was 14, but he treated us like we were adults. He treated us tremendously. He would tell us stories. He'd turn around and talk to us as well. It was I always liked Dick Murdoch, and we had many trips with Jacques Rougeau.
Yes,
it was Jerry Roberts at the time. We loved those trips. Wrestling too. We had many trips with him. They were always fun as well. He treated us the same way, but so did Jacques Rougeau, Jerry Roberts. He treated us really well.
And Jerry Stubbs, he was good.
There was a lot of guys we enjoyed.
Pork Chop Cash.
Pork Chop Cash lived with us.
Yeah, he lived with us up in Kansas City
for a long time. I guess for about 3 months he lived.
Yeah,
with us. We decided
for Christmas. Yeah, right. Because Christmas is when we left, right? I think it was Christmas.
We left. Yeah.
Because I remember taking the tree down in Kansas City and putting it back up in Birmingham.
We were supposed to go to Florida.
Yeah, we made it.
Just bypassed. We just stopped into Birmingham and just decided to stay there. And I'll tell you the reason why. And Ron Fuller probably never realized this. He probably never would realize why Dad did that, because they were going to run Alabama. That was the whole situation. Jim Crockett was going to run Alabama, and Dad did not like that. And he chose to go work for Ron Fuller instead of working for Jim Crockett, because they already had told him, we want you to go get TV in Birmingham. We want you to go get TV in Dothan. We want you to go get TV in Montgomery. They said that you're going to be your whole job. He didn't want to do that against Ron. And, so that tells a little bit of what he thought of Ron Fuller more than he did Jim Crockett, So Ron probably don't know that, because I don't think Dad ever told him this. But I think didn't Jim Crockett give Dad $1,500 to move, and so he used that money to move to Birmingham and then send him his money back?
Yes, exactly what happened. And that was a good move on our part because the Florida thing wasn't going to work.
No.
They went to Florida. That wasn't going to work. And it wasn't ever meant to. Kansas City was never meant to work. And Florida was never meant to work. Even when Bill Dundee and Bob had it going, the powers that be came down there and sabotaged the whole thing.
And we'll just leave it to the powers that be. But I think everybody on here probably know who the power to be was at the time. You don't have to think much about who the power to be was. Richard Hood said the match between Stan Hansen and Harley Race for the Road Warriors in Florida was a stiff match. Oh, I bet it was. I bet that was something else. Michael Barr asked this question. Jack, he said, Jack, was your first opponents ever nervous wrestling against you?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I was straight out of the Army, and I wasn't afraid of anything. A lot of guys when they first start, they're scared. They're in unfamiliar territory. I wasn't really scared. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do this, but I wasn't afraid of anything or anybody. So yeah, a lot of guys were nervous.
Richard Hood said Baby Doll managed Warlord at one time.
That was the most convoluted thing ever up in Kansas City because Baby Doll was managed to Sam Houston. And they would actually be working with each other. And I do believe driving up and down the road with each other as well.
And we wonder why Kansas City did not draw.
It was a disaster. That was a disaster. And it had so much potential. It really had a lot of potential. St. Joe, Missouri was the only town that was doing any good. And they threw everything, including the kitchen sink in St. Joe. And I forgot what was the promoter's name? He was a big time wrestler at one time. I forgot his name. But he was the promoter up there, and
Sonny Myers.
Sonny Myers, yeah. And it was an awesome town. And
Sonny Myers, tremendous man, too.
And we started seeing some movement in Topeka. Kansas City was not doing well at all. But Topeka, Kansas started coming around, and another place called Salina, Kansas. It started coming around. But
great buildings there.
And man. Des Moines, Iowa, we went there. Unless you had somebody off of TBS, that was a disaster.
Yeah, that was
that big Memorial Auditorium. I think it's what it was called in Des Moines. It was.
Stuart Kemp said he met Animal in Eugene, Oregon many years back. Didn't have any attitude. Was a great professional. Only people I had real issues with as stars were Raven and Virgil. I heard Virgil was very hard to deal with.
He listened well. Let's just say I talked to him like I was in service with him.
As what was his name? Scotty Too Hottie there. Scotty Flamingo at WCW. Never had a problem out of him.
Yeah, I worked shows with Raven, and I never had any issues with him. But now I've heard other people say that. I guess it's just whatever mood he woke up in that morning.
Let's see. Who invented the 5-sided ring? Who did that? I'm not for sure.
That come from Mexico. And Jeff Jarrett was going down there and working, and he liked the look, and he thought when they started TNA, that would give them a signature look. It did. I mean, he wasn't wrong about that. But I worked in a 5-sided ring a few times, and you talk about awkward. Man, that's a learning curve I never want to do again.
And why would an organization use a 5-sided ring? To cover up the fact that what was going on in the 5-sided ring wasn't any good.
Michael Barr asked, Jack, where can you get the Real Wrestling Mask made?
No, he said, I know. Yes, Jack, I know where you can get the Real Wrestling.
Oh, okay. He says
yeah.
Okay,
yeah. He's talking.
I read that wrong. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, he's talking.
It would be nice for the outsiders to get with the three of you after this pandemic and sit down and talk about wrestling. We would like to do that.
I would like to go to a restaurant and have everybody to come in and sit down. We'll do the whole shebang.
We're still kind of working on a deal about doing that. We're we can just be there kind of most of the day, and people can come in and out, and it kind of almost sounds like a fan fest. Almost.
Yes.
It's just everything. This whole pandemic has just messed us up, and we don't want to do anything and be bringing people in from everywhere until we know we got this thing settled.
And I'd love to see everybody to come out to Wrestle South, but I'll be honest with you, when I'm working at shows like that, I really don't have time to come out and do meet and greets or sit and talk with people. I mean, I am so busy. My day on the next event will start at 9:00 in the morning, and we won't get done till probably 11:00 midnight that night. It's just nonstop for me.
Michael Barr said so many stories to be told, and so many old school wrestlers gone now. Yes, they are. It's sad. Michael Barr said, he said, I have to pay $5 for a supporter for talking so much. No problem whatsoever, Michael. No problem. Kansas City had some small rings, wrestling rings. I always enjoyed that area because the buildings had such a great atmosphere to them. It's a lot of old buildings there.
Yeah, and they were, some of them, like these auditoriums were like in City Hall downtown in the City Hall building. We went to, that's where we threw a snowball at the Italian Stallion. It caused a snowball fight in the downtown area. I don't know if the police ever came or not, but we started and then we got in the car and left. I was going to hit Italian Stallion in the head, back of the head with that snowball. It went, glazed his shoulder. And then we ran and jumped the car, thought the people come after us. No, they didn't. They were bobbing him in that car. I mean, his car was full of snow.
It was him, Todd Champion.
That's right.
Who was the other guy? Peterson, Greg Peterson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He passed away, didn't he? Greg Peterson did, I think. Yeah. Maybe even Todd. I don't know if Todd Champion did or
not from the snowball fight, though.
No, not from the snowball fight, but that was we had some fun in Kansas City.
We came around that. It was in the town square, so we come around the square because it's all one-way streets. We come around and we look back down through there, and people were just throwing snowballs everywhere. Well, our work here is done. We're out of here.
We were back in the day. We were called the Little Crap Disturbers. That's what we were called. Dad was the big crap.
Private message me, and I'll tell you what the real word was.
Aaron said West Fest or West Mania. Michael Barr said if the walls of the building could talk, what a story could tell, especially the old Houston County farm. Said, yeah, them little dressing rooms. Michael, you ever been in those little dressing rooms at the farm center? Them things were so small, man. And you had to have 8 big guys in that one dressing room. It was. And back then they didn't do like years later. Years later they'd put a curtain up there, and then guys could dress on the outside of it. But back in the day, they were just in that little bitty dress room, and all it was a little bitty, like an aisle. Is basically what it was.
It was like they had cut out those 2 areas back there, and they used to be public restrooms. Is exactly what it seemed like.
But they had a bigger place for the guys in the back portion of that place, but I don't know if it had any showers in it. I knew it had restrooms in it.
You're talking about
it was right behind the stage. It was behind the stage there.
Yeah, it was. That's where I would set up and sell advance tickets for the next week in that little room, and that's where we'd steal that table that man would get all upset about every time.
We were in Dothan one time, and we went and got the table from that room, and we were setting up our pictures and everything. That guy came over there and threw our stuff off the table.
Yes.
I mean, threw it off the table, took his hands and smashed it. They were all over the floor.
We had left and went somewhere, didn't we? Come back?
I don't know.
Didn't we come back and this stuff was all over the place?
I can't remember. I just remember.
Because that guy said, that was my table. You can't use it. We didn't. We set up on the ring, didn't we? We set up on the ring that night, didn't we?
I believe we did. Yes, I
It
believe
got
we
to a
did.
point though we didn't go to Dothan to sell.
No, they started using the Dothan Civic Center. I'll tell you the reason they started doing Dothan Civic Center, Michael. If anybody's been to the farm center, at the back of the building, they had the wheelchair accessible thing where the wheelchair should go down because they had steps. I bet you every week 5 or 10 people would fall going down that thing. So Dad said he wanted to cut that off, and it would be only for wheelchair people. That was the only person could go down it. No one else could go down it, and just someone with a wheelchair. And they told him no. And then he told him, he said, I'm the one renting this, and I'm telling you to cut it off. And they told him no. And he said, well, I'll be at the Civic Center. And they told him these words were said. No, you won't. You will always be here. 2 weeks later, we're at the Dothan Civic Center. And it didn't go back for years.
And it was also to do with the Sheriff's Department, Houston County Sheriff's Department. They were getting an outrageous amount of money. They refused to enforce anything. People throwing stuff in the building. And of course, they were the part of that problem with that ramp, because that's who they want to put over that ramp. Oh no, you're not going to cut that off. And most of the time, all they were doing is standing around watching the matches, and we were paying as much for the police as we were for the rent of the farm center.
And they didn't do their job.
No.
I mean, I don't know how many times they wasn't around when poor old Larry Brock knocked somebody out.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. They were just there collecting money, is what it looked like.
Didn't have that many fights like that at the Civic Center that we did at the farm center. But I liked the Civic Center better. It was not hot.
Got that air conditioning, nice PA system.
I didn't go to Dothan a lot though. I went there because you just couldn't. The souvenirs didn't sell good in Dothan for some reason. I don't know why, but you couldn't sell it. Your program sold pretty good there, but nothing else sold good in Dothan.
It was like once people got to their seat, they were afraid to get up and move.
I heard pay was low in Kansas City. Well, it was more than just low. Sometimes that was non-existent. I don't even know if they had a guarantee. Atlanta's guarantee was $65, and this was in the 1970s. And that was pretty good money for the day, for the time. $75 guarantee. Ron Fuller's was $40. It was a $40 guarantee. I don't know if the Kansas City had, and I don't think Jerry Jarrett had one. I don't think he had a guarantee. I think if it was $20, that's what you got. $20.
He did. It was $20.
Yeah, I don't think he had one. Atlanta had probably the best.
Atlanta's
it was still $20 in the mid '80s when I had my tryout up there, and that's why I didn't go to Memphis.
Michael Barr said, I could tell you a lot of stories of Dothan. One day we'd like to sit and hear them. I'd heard about the sheriffs not doing their job. Aaron Garland asked, what was the last year was the show? It was during Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, I believe, wasn't it? I believe. Man. And what year was that? What year did we do Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, Jack? Do you remember what year that was?
05, 06, maybe.
I can't remember what year it was. Could have been that. I don't remember. I don't remember, but it was in the
I'm trying to remember. I date things by when my divorces fell. So I was still married to my first wife, so that actually might have been 02, 03.
Okay, that sounds more like it, somewhere around there. That would be the last time we went there. Now, if it was Continental you're talking about, that would have been maybe August of 1989, maybe.
Yeah, probably
August 1989. Rustlers never got insurance.
Nope.
Never. They never got any insurance.
For your own. Ideally, what you would do is your wife would have a job that provided insurance for both of them.
Michael Barr asked this question, and then we'll have to get off here. Jack, have you done the Dothan territory often back then?
Dothan is one of the few towns that I never wrestled at.
Yeah, it's Dothan's it's a good wrestling town. It was always a good wrestling town. I always enjoyed going to Dothan. It's just, at some point I just quit going. I couldn't make a lot of money, and it was my day. I could take that day off. I took for a while. I took the weekends off. It was Saturday and Sunday. I didn't go to Pensacola as well. I only would do Monday through Friday. I'd take Saturday and Sunday off. Rodney had to go because he took care of the box office, but I just took those, and I was kind of enjoying that Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think Danny's wife was selling in those towns.
Yeah, I think she was.
It was got difficult. Pensacola was another one. Mobile was another one that we didn't sell a lot in. Because
for some reason that whole area
Mobile was deader than a doornail.
All right, guys. Next week we will continue. Hopefully, I will get the stuff in for the next couple of world champions. It just takes a long time to get that done, and I'm not for sure what we're going to talk. Other stuff that we're going to talk about. It's just recording whatever comes during the week. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We certainly do appreciate it. It does come in handy for some of this, like our little things that we have to have so we can hear. We were trying to do it without it, and then we having echoes, so we ended up having to go back to the earphones. I don't always enjoy them, but it's a necessary thing to do the show. Thank you all so much, and we'll see y'all next week, and we'll continue our look at wrestling. We appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.